the like, the share, the subscribe, man, so you'll stay tuned in to the latest and the greatest. Hit the notification bell so you be notified every time I drop. What's happening with y'all, man? It's most in the afternoon. I'm on my way to work, man. You know I do my live vlogs and I'm on my way to work. I think they got me shadow banned. My videos ain't been going out into the algorithm. People ain't being notified, man. So if you feel the need, you know, take your nutty professor finger and smash that like button, babe. And the late great Sinful P voice, man. How y'all doing today, man? I'm feeling pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I knocked out a couple of videos, you know what I'm saying, if y'all care to watch them. But this video today is a rebuttal to a comment that was left in my comment section on the Snoopy Badass video, him questioning our excuse the sunlight. Are blacks are scared of Hispanics in Los Angeles? This commenter in particular, he made a few key points. I'm only gonna go over a couple. He said that I know that it's the truth. I don't know what the truth was. Maybe he's saying as it relates to blacks being afraid of Hispanics or Latinos, Sureños in LA. And I already spoke my piece on that. My viewpoint hasn't changed since I made the video. I don't believe that any particular race, creed, or kind is scared of anyone. Everyone has weapons, bullets, ammunition. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who know how to fight, and people are willing to use these weapons. I can give prime examples. I don't really like to do that, but I will for the sake of this video, right? The BPS jungles, 25th Street, weren't afraid of the 18th Streets when they tried to move in to set up shop in the jungles. And you know what happened. You know, if you know, you know. You can go back and do the research on that, but people lost their lives, you know what I'm saying, to say the least. A lot of people lost their lives, and the 18th Street ended up hightailing their ass up out of there. Just like the Venice, when they went at it with the Santa Monica boys, the Venice 13, and all the other Sureño gangs in that area of West LA, and they were victorious. You know, well, neither, I'm gonna say like this, bro. Neither side were victorious because people lost their lives, you know. I don't look at this as a game. You know, I don't look at this as I'm keeping score on who's being unalive, right? But I will say this, you know, they were able to successfully hoard off those gangs, you know, from entering into their territory and doing harm to them. So that's been debunked as far as blacks being scared. On my end, I don't live in Los Angeles. I got homies from Los Angeles. It's several people from Los Angeles out here that I'm cool with, that I rock with. That's my homies. Some of them from Avalon, some of them from Broadway. Some of them, I got a plethora, a laundry list, a litany of homies from East Coast Crip. You know what I'm saying? From 7'6", 6 Deuce, 6'6". Shout out to the homie Big Duke from 6'6", the homegirl Shanetta from 6 Deuce. You know what I'm saying? The homie Chaos from 7'6". Shout out to 10 Man from 8'9", you know what I'm saying? Shout out to JD from 8'9", man, and the list goes on. But I got homies from LA, man, that can attest to this, you know what I'm saying? What's happening with the chat? This is not a pissing contest. This is not a smear campaign. I just don't believe that blacks are scared of Latinos. I don't believe that Latinos are scared of blacks. I think that that's a false norm. So the second point that he had made was that LA Hispanic gangs has trooped all over black territory and pushed them out of LA. That's another false narrative. If you're familiar with Los Angeles and what was going on in the early 80s, I mean the late 80s and the early 90s, excuse me, and even up into the 2000s, right? They were having what they call gang injunctions, and they were getting people up out of there systematically. They gang injunctions, RICOs, federal sweeps. That's what took a lot of the gang members out of LA. It wasn't too much of like gang wars popping off or Hispanic gangs pressing up on black gangs and making them leave. No, the vast majority of the people in LA, the blacks in LA, they were incarcerated. So that's what happened to a lot of the, you know, or they were unalived by one another. And People came in and gentrified the property. They raised the property and the property taxes, and people couldn't afford it no more. You know, whole housing projects were taken over and renovated. If you go down Crenshaw, you go down Slauson, you're liable to see a white person walking a poodle. You know, it's safer than it was. I'm not saying that it's soft, you know, but it's safer than it was back in the early 80s, the 70s, you know what I'm saying? Hello to the chat. What's up to the chat? Hello to you. I hope you're having an amazing day, you know what I'm saying? Because I am. I'm on my way to work, going to get to it. But yeah, that's one of the other key things that he mentioned in his rebuttal to what I was saying. He was saying that I know that what he's saying is true, that blacks are scared of Hispanics. I just debunked that. I'm not going to mention no more black and Hispanic wars. I'm not trying to peel back no scabs on this. I'm just getting to the facts, to the meat and the potatoes. And he also mentioned that blacks left Los Angeles. This person who commented, blacks left Los Angeles because they were being ran out of their territory by Hispanic gang. What black gang as a whole got ran out of their territory by Hispanics? That's what I want to say to you. What black gang got their whole territory taken over and ran out of LA? Don't say Eso Village and don't say the Gear Gangs, because that's not true. That's been debunked. That's been debunked. But I think as a whole, you know, black people lost ground and lost a lot of the property and their ownership when they sold out. You know, they sold a lot of their property. They sold a lot of, you know, they came from Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Alabama, you know, from the South during the World War II era, and they migrated from there into Los Angeles, and they started, you know, buying property. And when they got there, the vast majority of the people that was there was white people. Wasn't no Hispanic people there like that. You know what I'm saying? So they were able to establish grounds because they were working in surpluses and things like that, because this is during the World War II era, in the 50s and, you know, in the 60s, 40s, right? So it was a lot of black people that moved from those towns, Atlanta, Georgia, and all that. They had prestigious jobs. They were working in these warehouses. They were working in these surpluses, so they could afford to buy these homes, you know. But when, you know, the crack epidemic hit and the gangs hit, you know, people hightailed up out of there. They don't want to live there no more. You know, houses were getting shot up, you know, windows getting shot out, cars getting broken into, you know, family members being unalive, you know, kids walking home from school catching stray bullets. So the elderly people who migrated from down south, you know, they wanted a peaceful way of life. You know, they had to deal with the racism and all of that stuff that was going on in the South to come to Los Angeles and have to deal with their own people now not getting along post the Black Panther Party. You know, because before the Black Panther Party, you know, you had the Gladiators, the Slauson Boys, you know, that were gangs that were fighting off gangs like the Spook Hunters. They were fighting off racist white gangs. And then that migrated into them branching off and making their own gang, well, these were teenagers that started these gangs. You know, so they didn't have the same compassion and the voice of reason as the elderlies that came before them, who were fighting for a cause. You know, once they fought the Spook Hunters off and all of the Klan and the skinheads and all that, they pretty much turned on each other. And here we are now, lost and brainwashed into believing that because somebody grew up on a different side of town, then we gotta have a disdain, hatred for that person. When they didn't pick that, they mama didn't, you know, they mama picked where what town that they lived on. You dig? There's no reason for us to have hatred or animosity. But I just thought that I address some of the things that this dude said in this video, in my live stream. And salute to him for commenting and dropping and giving his spiel and his take on it. It's no hatred. He got an opinion, he's right to it. But I just had to debunk a couple of those things that he said. Then there was another person who came on there and commented it, and he said that black folks have never made a gang in Beverly Hills, never been able to successfully have a gang in New York during the 20s and gang banging in mafia territory, or have they ever made a gang in Chinatown? Why would we want to have a gang in Chinatown? Why would blacks want to have a gang in Beverly Hills? People make gangs where they live at, you know. I'm quite sure the people who live in Beverly Hills are so prestigious, you know, even if they're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, if they live in Beverly Hills, they so well off, man. That gang banging is the furthest thing on their mind. Gang banging and gangs are the vast majority of poor people, the miscreants of society. That's the mentality. It's a poor mentality, you know. Playing God, wanting to take somebody's life because they're from another part of town. People who got money don't do shit like that. That's broke people. That's broke people shit. You know what I'm saying? People who prestigious and they trying to pass down general wealth, they don't take those type of risks. They don't feel like it's necessary to pile up in a car, travel across town to gun somebody down because they don't align with what they side of town is. You know, when I put it in that type of perspective, everybody sees that it's ignorant. You know, well, at least the people who have an ounce of integrity or IQ higher than their shoe size can see that. But hey, thank you all for tuning in once again, man. It's your host, Most the Great Day Late Dollar Short News, live and direct, where we ride for respect. There's a couple of videos up, man. If you care to watch them, man, go check them out, man. We out.